Welcome to After Dusk with Don Piercy, where we're not afraid to talk about things that go bump in the night, with special guest co-hosts and so much more. We're bringing you the facts versus fiction and the history of it all. Remember, it's always darkest before dawn. Tune in every Wednesday at 10:30 and get your bite. Picking up where we left off on After Dusk with Don Piercy with the continuation from last week. Get your bite on.
Kind of goes into that realm a little bit. Our fairies, and especially the non, like when people just see it out of the corner of their eye and stuff. Is that could be like a ghost or fairies?
Fairy dust. Okay, yeah, kind of like fairy dust. Like you might kind of be half asleep or sitting in the dark, and then all of a sudden, now I've actually had this happen to me, where it looks like there's like sparkling glitter falling from the ceiling, or I'll see wisp of it like right across my face, purple wisp or gold wisp.
Right.
And I call it fairies because I don't know what else to call it, and I'm like, oh look, fairies.
Right.
And some people will be like, what's wrong? What are you looking at? And I'm like, do you see that? And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, how embarrassing. I see these lights. I'm just saying.
Right. Well, see, so like folklore tells us, and this isn't just the fictional folklore written by writers, in the Romantic period, medieval Europe. This is kind of going all the way back to Egyptian times, and what folklore kind of tells us, and kind of what history, what scientists have been able to surmise is kind of on this phenomenon. We'll get into the wheels painted on primitive man, the caves of primitive man, this and that. And when I say wheels, I don't mean tires off of cars. I mean like kind of like wheels with lights on them, which is actually biblical as well. But I think kind of like when you see the glimmer of lights, or you see some of these things, again, it's like transition, because the thing that the common thread that kind of historically speaking we find is that fairies and elves and sprites and all of these beings, they live in a different universe than ours. They live with us, but time is different for them. And some even it's even said that they kind of live in like a parallel universe to ours.
And that's like that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to cover. The land of
we don't see them.
Right, the land of the giants is where the land of the fairies is, and the Grimm. Now, many explanations for this belief, and not just a paper trail, but they can be like ghosts, spirits of the dead, or were fallen angels at some point, either bad enough for hell or not good enough for evil. So it's like they've been stuck in a parallel reality, not of our own, but they're kind of like in purgatory, to where they're trapped because they're not good enough for heaven, but they're not bad enough for hell. Now there's hundreds and different types of fairies, and some are miniature creatures, others grotesque, and of course some can fly. And all appear to disappear at will, which goes to the fact that, are some of these abduction cases, can they come up and grab you and just, you're gone?
Well,
just like that, and that's terrifying to think of.
I think they exercise some form of transporting, right? Some form of it, whether it's magical or technical, right? They're able to either completely snatch you away, i.e., beam me up, Scotty, or they're able to maybe bend time, fold space, and take you to their realm.
Right, they live between the grid. They live between the grid, the realities between our reality, and and like the hobgoblins, the little ones, like the one that we seen in the picture with the little kids that were just terrified. I have had a lot of things, and I always blame it on the fairies, because I'll be cooking and I have all of my ingredients here. I turn around and they're completely gone, not anywhere to be found. I look high and low and high and low, absolutely nowhere. Well, when I'm deep
Right.
cleaning or I get ready to move, I will find a pile of my missing trinkets
Right.
underneath the base of the sink,
Right.
behind all the
And that,
stuff that hasn't been moved. So something is taking my stuff and stashing it like it's a freaking treasure. One was a pack of cheese. I couldn't make
right.
the macaroni because they took my freaking cheese, yo. I'm just
Well, see,
saying.
what research has found, right, is that there's certain herbs, right, that they don't, and plant, flowers and stuff that they don't like. They don't like metal, and we'll get
Mm-hmm.
into the war with man because steel was used against the fairies in the war with man. This kind of goes back to early history, which I'm not sure where it falls in the context because steel, didn't come around until Sumerian times. So there would have had to have been this like a more definitive battle in that time frame, which of course we don't find a lot written about, if at all. But they don't like steel. They don't like certain herbs, so like your herbs disappearing on you. The cheese thing, I don't know. They don't like salt and bread,
It was in a shiny
so
pack.
they will steal
Maybe it was
loads of
because it
bread
was
or
shiny.
salt.
Maybe it was because
Huh?
it was shiny.
Could have been like yeah. I
Yeah,
don't
because it was
know.
in a foil
No.
pack. It was kind of like
Yeah.
that Velveeta cheese for the macaroni, and you
Right.
squeeze it
Right.
on it, and it's nice and creamy, and maybe
I
they
don't
thought,
know.
ooh,
Let's see. I don't know. The
shiny.
cheese one, I don't know. Or maybe they like cheese. I mean,
And
who
I
knows?
went to
A
and
lot
I
of
never
noted
found it
fairies.
again until a year later. I'm
Uh,
just saying. And then other accounts, I know I put something down, and I'm sure that many of you have gone through this. You go to put something down, and you turn around to pick it up. You only set it down for a second, but it's not there. You look
right.
for hours. You get panicky sometimes with your freaking car keys. Okay. Can't
Right.
find it. You're stressed out. And you give up, and then you turn around and look, and it's in the exact place where you set it. But you know for a fact it wasn't there. I know we're not
Right.
going crazy. That's why I
Right.
said it's the fairies. The fairies
Right.
will mess with you. The
They're tricks. They're like a bunch of teenagers. They like run around town, like whatever, stealing stop signs,
Mischievous, very
I don't
mischievous.
know, flags at the nearby like community, the community flag thing that I don't know, maybe that could have happened when we were kids. But I mean that's what they are. They're kind of, and the question is like why? And research seems to kind of indicate that they're doing it out of maliciousness more than anything when it comes to just stealing inanimate objects, or they're trying like knives. A lot of households, like people, like knives will go missing, but that's because most knives are steel,
Right, and same with
represent
forks and
superiority,
knives
and so they're
and
trying to,
silverware. Yeah,
yeah, they're
yeah.
trying to disarm. And they hate silver. They don't like silver. They don't like to see the reflection, which is going back to like aliens tend to seem to like abductees have noticed like they tend to kind of steer clear of mirrors for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes into the vampire thing and our vampires, aliens, and on and on. So
Right,
yeah.
right.
So there's definitely they've got a thing and it means something to them, whatever these objects they're stealing, and a lot of it has like with the historical with this ongoing, and then see there you go. There's always a lot of people believe there's still an ongoing war. So it's like it's not that we defeated the fairies, they went into hiding. They went into hiding so they can conduct like a guerrilla war against us.
Right,
So
right.
it seems like it seems silly, but if you look at it from the perspective of the fairies, like if they take your knives away, they disarm you, and if they um, take away your trinkets or reflective objects, you can't see them coming. I don't know. It's who knows what.
It,
Who knows what goes on in their minds, right? But
right.
there's logic behind it and some sort of magical imbuement in doing these activities, taking your locks of hair and stuff, which aliens do. There's some sort of magic or some sort of biological warfare they're employing against us.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And let
So I
me
don't know.
another type of fairy that we haven't touched base on yet. Banshees. Okay. Banshees are known to like bring warnings of death, and they're less common but
Yeah.
more sinister. Okay.
Yeah.
And they usually only appear to foretell a tragedy. And in Highland tradition, the washer by the ford, which was a web-footed tradition, or is a Highland tradition, is a one nostril. That's the one that you were talking about,
Yeah. It's an
where
old
it kind of
hag
has
that,
the hole, and
and she
and
washes bloody
and they
clothes.
bring to foretell a very violent death. Thanks for tuning in to After Dusk with Dawn Piercy. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you enjoyed it, like, share, subscribe, and tune in next Wednesday for the next part in our web series at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you feel fit to buy me a cup of coffee once a month for bringing you this series, you can do so at our Anchor.fm platform under a new podcast. Until next time, keep it real.